do you want to start us off with your? It doesn't matter what order you chat about them in, but who would you like to bring up first?
So the first person on the list that you gave me that I'll talk about is Eliud Kipchoge, who's probably one of the least known names
For sure.
of everyone.
Yeah.
It's probably fair to say. But he is an incredible athlete. He is a marathon runner or a long distance runner who has been undefeated in the marathon since 2013. He's won, I think he's won 11 or 12 marathons in a row, something like that. 8 of them have been like the major marathons, the major city marathons, and he won the Olympic gold at Rio. He also has the marathon official world record, which he got in 2018, which is 2 hours, 1 minute, 39 seconds. And then in an unofficial event last year, he became the first person ever to break 2 hours in the marathon. He ran 1:59:40. That's not an official world record because they had paces, like pacemakers, go in and out, and that's like against the rules for an official world record.
Yeah, those weird shoes, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, the shoes weren't the issue, I don't think,
Yeah.
but it's just the way they did it with the pacemaking because they wanted to make like him like the most aerodynamic way of pacing.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's no one in the world that can pace him for like 40 Ks
Yeah.
because he's the fittest. So
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he's the best marathon runner of all time, unquestionably. Like undefeated for a very long time. The world record, unofficial world record, first person to go into 2 hours. Won the last Olympic goals. Hasn't lost for what 6-7 years. The questions that kind of make it questionable. Well, one thing is with running, with like general athletics events, is there's so many different distances, and being the best at one distance and not the best at multiple kind of makes you question, like, because then you could have the best of all time could be so many different people who have every single world record,
Yeah.
Also early in the decade, the first like 4 years, he didn't really do anything. He was still a track runner, like 5,000, 10,000 meters, and like didn't even qualify for the 2012 Olympics for Kenya. Like he came like fifth in the Olympic trials or something and just didn't qualify. Because he did like elite things in the 5,000 and 10,000 in like the decade prior and was kind of fading early in the decade and then moved up to the marathon and obviously has done very well.
Yeah. We've got 3 athletes in this 12. But I guess we're going to try and pick holes in each person's like case, but realistically they're all elite.
Yeah.
But one thing I've got against athletics is there's no one stopping you. Like you could be the best, well, like Messi and Ronaldo, they're probably the best soccer players ever. Tom Brady's probably the best quarterback ever, whatever. They've got to play against defenses who are trying to stop them. They can do, like as we saw in the Michael Jordan documentary, you can do like dodgy tactics to try and slow them down, like illegal stuff. Where if you're the fastest at that distance, nothing can stop you. Like there's nothing to prevent you from winning because it's just like everyone's kind of just racing against themselves almost. But yeah, that's obviously a talent if you can just run faster than everyone else.
Yeah.
And there's something about the marathon that's just like, it just seems like prestigious. It's like you're the fastest marathon runner. Like that's elite.
Yeah,
Where if you're like the fastest 20K runner, it's like, well, that's also elite, but it's like just not as cool.
No one really cares.
Yeah. As you were saying, athletics is like, it's a tough one because in my list, I think there was more athletes than any other sport, just because, as you said, there's a lot of people who dominate their own race. So there's like David Rudisha who dominates the 800, and there's a few others.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got 3 in this list, but I think they're all pretty fair candidates.
I mean, all 3 of them are arguably, if you're like the greatest of all time in your specific event, it's hard to like not consider you, because even if you're just the best in your decade, but not the best, you're the best of your event in the last decade, but you like don't have any like world records, or you're not the best ever, then I can understand you not being included. But I mean, if you're the best of all time in something sport, it's hard not to put you in the best of the decade, like at least in contention.
Yeah, 100%. And telling me the other day that he's coming up against, I don't know his first name, but Bekele or
Yeah.
whatever his name is,
So
who's like his big.
they're the
Well,
two big marathon
yeah.
runners at the moment. Bekele's like probably better overall, like had a better career. He's probably the best of all time when it comes to like 5,000, 10,000. But he was on with 2 seconds off Kipchoge's world record, and last year, but they've never actually
That's so
in a
little.
marathon 2 seconds. But they've never actually like raced against each other in a marathon, or not at least since like Bekele's became good at the marathon. So it'll be like they were meant to be London Marathon earlier this year. They were meant to face off, but that was cancelled. And then obviously the Olympics, Tokyo Olympics, will be the time where we'll be able to truly see who's the better one. But
yeah, I can't say I've ever cared about the Olympic marathon, but especially after talking to you about it. But I do know a bit about both of them, so I think I'll definitely tune into that one next year or whenever it happens. Yeah. There's something crazy, I reckon, about going from running 5Ks to a marathon. It's like, I know it makes sense because you're obviously extremely
just
fit to run 5Ks at such pace, but like people can't go from 100 to 400 meters, and that's a half a track difference or whatever. So to go from 5K to a marathon and still be the fastest in the world or whatever, that's just a crazy thought.
Yeah, I guess it's just all aerobic capacity, and it's just
exactly.
the further and further you get, it just stays at like 5K. It's all just like your aerobic capacity, and it just stays that way no matter how long you go.
Queensland, it's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.